Today we'll be taking a look at the Airlift LoadLifter 5000 air helper springs for the rear axle. These are going to be a custom fit for your 2005 through 2010 Ford F-250 and 350 Super Duty. This is going to fit for the two-wheel drive version. If you have a four-wheel drive, that's actually going to be a different part number, and that is AL57398 for that four-wheel drive. These are also specifically designed to work with your gooseneck and fifth wheel insulation kits. That hole up at the top allows you to mount this into the bracket using the hardware for your fifth wheel, so you won't have to worry about any issues there. They mount inside the frame away from our wheels, so it shouldn't cause any interference between the wheels or our fifth wheel or gooseneck. And overall, air springs are going to do a lot of benefits for us. They're going to level out the truck, not only front to back, bringing our front end back up, our front end back down, so that's going to help to get our steering back to stable, helps to get our alignment geometry right, and point our headlights back down, brings that back end back up. Everything's supported, but it also levels out side to side, so we don't have to worry about one side of our truck leaning to the other. And if you're using this for an in-bed camper, that's always helpful as well, since typically one side's going to be heavier than the other. They do inflate independently. Both of them are going to have our 1/4 inch push-to-fit fittings up at the top, and then our length of air hose to run into that. You can also purchase a compressor to go with this, so you can have an in-bed control, and you don't have to get out and check every time to monitor the air pressure in your bags. I would highly suggest getting one of those. It just makes life a little bit easier. You're able to monitor it in your cab, make any adjustments as necessary, and you can get either a dual or a single pass compressor. The single pass will only allow you to really adjust front to back, because it's going to merge those two bags together, and it will take away the independent side to side. If you're not really worried about offset loads, that's a fine way to do it. But if you want to keep the adjustability front to back and side to side, a dual pass compressor will be the way to go, so you can keep that independence side to side. Those compressors are available here at Etrailer.Com if you want to pick one up to go with your airbags. This kit is going to come with everything you see laid out here on the table. We'll have our heat shield with a couple different hose clamps to get that around if you have just your regular exhaust pipe, or if you have an exhaust resonator. It has a little bit bigger band there, so you can get that wrapped around and protect the bag from any kind of interference from the exhaust. You don't want to have those bags melt on you, so they provide that heat shield to keep that protected. Again, these are going to reduce those typical problems that we get whenever we have our truck loaded down. It's going to reduce any sway that you would typically get if you're feeling like the truck is just really not handling corners right. This helps to make that connection between your frame and your axle, gives cushion to balance one side to the other, and it also helps to absorb some of the road shock that we typically get when we're going over rough pavement. So overall, it's just going to improve the ride. The thing that's really nice about having air springs as opposed to a more static or passive system like the just rubber blocks from Sumo Springs or from Torque Lift is that we'll be able to adjust it. So you can adjust that pressure to be higher when you have heavier loads, and then adjust that air pressure back down whenever you're not hauling anything. So it gives you kind of the best of both worlds. Whenever you don't need those airbags, you can deflate them. You just want to make sure that you have at least 5 psi in them at all times. The flip side to that, though, is with the passive systems, you don't have to do any maintenance. You don't have to monitor the pressure in your bags. You don't have to worry about the airlines ever getting damaged from anything. Whenever you do run your airlines, it's a good idea to make sure that you run these away from anything hot, anything moving, or any sharp edges. As you run that airline along, you don't want to drag it across anything that's going to cause grooves to appear in that plastic line, because that can be a typical point of failure. And whenever you go to cut these, you want to make sure it's a nice, smooth, clean cut so that it fits really well in there and we don't have any leaks there. If you do that, you shouldn't have any issues with leaks over time, and as long as you use that little heat sleeve near the exhaust, wherever that passes by our passenger side bag, that should eliminate any issues there. But that is something to think about. You do have to maintain the air inside the bags, so It's just kind of which is going to be better for you. These have a load leveling capacity of up to 5,000 pounds, but keep in mind with that, it's not going to increase your overall weight carrying capacity. It's not going to increase the payload of your truck, so you never want to exceed the manufacturer's recommended weight for the bags or for your truck for that matter. Our air pressure goes from 5 psi up to 100 psi. It does come with a lifetime warranty and a 60-day satisfaction guarantee from Airlift, and these are made in the USA. The bags are constructed of a two-ply fabric reinforced rubber, and the end caps have a high-strength Zytle nylon construction, which is typically lighter, stronger, and more corrosion resistant than steel. One thing I would note with that, in our experience here, we have had a few bags come back because if you don't let the mechanic know that whoever would be working on your truck that you have airbags installed and they let the axle hang from the airbags, it can cause some leaks to occur from the bag starting to separate a little bit. Airlift really doesn't suggest that you let the axle hang once the bags are installed. That is one thing that Firestone would have over Airlift, is that Firestone says that it's fine to let the axle hang. So anytime you're getting any kind of maintenance, any tire rotations, things like that, that's something to keep in mind. Or if you're going to be using this for landscaping and you're going to have one side dropping down pretty drastically, the Firestone would be a little bit better. But if you're just doing long haul on the highway applications and you make a note to anybody who's going to be working on your truck to not let that axle hang, Airlift does a great job of providing all those benefits that I mentioned above. Overall, these are going to be great bags for you and reduce any road shock, offset loads, and all those other things. And that's going to do it for our look at the Airlift LoadLifter 5000 Air Helper Springs for the rear axle.